Hey everybody, Nick Bertling here at Bertling Noise Laboratories. Just wanted to do a little video about drums. I just, the other day, put my 14 by 26 up. I love big drums. I love the sound of classic big drum sounds, Bonham, Hunt Sales, who I just played, that sort of thing. So I figured I'd talk a little bit about drums themselves and a little bit about the mics I've got on them, and we'll just kind of go through these things. So anyway, standard Zildjian 14-inch new beat hi-hats. I got them sometime around 1996, somewhere in that neighborhood. Cymbals are, at the moment, these are Stags. I've still got them. They lasted a really long time. I use the Grombles. These things are amazing. Goes right into your cymbal. Rubber grommet, the cymbal chief that holds the cymbal on, and this is all you need to easily mount a cymbal on a stand. And it makes it great in the studio because, hey, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to look for any kind of little washers. I hate washers. Anyway, snare drum. It's my Ludwig LM402. Mom and Dad got it for me in high school. I still have it. It's been rebuilt probably 35 times because I beat the crap out of it. And you can probably see I've got some locks on here to keep the lugs from moving around so much. And I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4 of those on here, along with you probably can't see them very well, but they are leather washers that have got stuck together. Since generally most of the play happens right here, it keeps things from detuning. The rest of them, I have Keith Larson's washers on that he came up with that help kind of keep things in place. That's the Millennium Strainer, which has been falling down lately, so it's gonna get replaced. And I don't know if you can see this, but 42 strand snares. I like them. I always liked them a lot when I was gigging all the time because I would break snares all the time, and I figured if I had 42 of them and I broke 7 in one night, it was sort of like having an insurance policy out on yourself, planning ahead. Anyway, this is a 8 by 12 inch rack tom. I've got Remo's CS black dots on it. Tony Williams, everybody, and, you know, Bonham, obviously, but, you know, I like that. I like that thing. I'm digging these days. I've got Evans G1s on the bottom of these toms. They're great. They're easy to tune. Inside of that kick drum, that is an Aventone Pro Mondo. That is mounted internally, and it's got a Kelly shoe in there. I think that thing's great. It makes mounting really easy, and all of the brackets just attach to existing screws in the bass drum. I had a panel jack installed on the side, so that way, when you show up at a gig and you've got a 14 by 26 inch bass drum and no hole cut in the front head, you can watch a sound guy wander around and make odd sounds like, what am I going to do? And, oh my God, is there any way we can saw a hole in the side of this drum? Anyway, Zildjian Sweet Ride, another SH Crash. Here they are, drums. You'll notice I've got this crazy looking snare drum thing going on here. This is an MXL 990 that's been it's been modified. It's got a different capsule in it. I think it's got an RK12 in it. It does not sound great on a lot of other applications, but I seem to like it on snare, and I know it looks a little strange, but I just kind of moved it around until I got it to sound like a snare drum. You know, I've been sitting, I would say, 3 feet from a snare drum for the entirety of my life, and I know what, in my head, I'm pretty sure I want it to sound like. So I try to get that to come out on a snare track. Will I change it depending on whether it's appropriate for a specific song or not? Absolutely. But that's what I'm using right now. You'll notice there's no hi-hat mic because there's always a ton of hi-hat and snare drum. yeah, I could probably do something to try and block it out from the snare drum mic. But my theory is that I get plenty of hi-hat from these overheads anyway. Let's talk about overheads for a second. These are Roswell Mini K47s. That's a matched pair. I've got them on a stereo bar. I've got them spread out just a bit. I'm getting a fairly accurate representation of this drum kit. I do get a little bit of comb filtering in this room because it is a basement. As you can well see, this is a basement. So you're going to get a little bit of phase cancellation from top to bottom. It's not a perfect room. I've just got a bunch of packing blankets on the walls because I am cheap and I'm lazy. Got a couple of room office dividers that I got for $5 a piece. So those are fantastic. I like it. You can see back beyond the camera there, I've got an MXL V67Q stereo mic. That's doing a room thing. I'm not getting a huge stereo picture because I don't have it very far back. I found in this room, because it's got a fair amount of padding in it, I just get delay. I don't get an exciting room sound, so I tend to do a bunch of stuff to get it to sound interesting. Tom mics, real quick. I don't even know what this is. This is a Behringer C2. They come in a pack of 2. My dad got them for me for Christmas. I think they're $40 for the pair. I blew one up on Jeremy Wren's guitar cabinet one day. Not my smartest moment. But, hey, what are you going to do? It sounds great on Tom. I like to give it a little bit of space just off of the head. That one gives me a fairly accurate representation of what that drum sounds like without a whole lot of bleed. This, it's a good question. What is this? This is an MCA SP2, which as far as I can tell, is nothing more than a rebranded MXL. It's probably an MXL 990 capsule. That same thing that's in there. It works. It works fine. It's not my favorite. I've tried 421 on it, and I don't love it. It's a little dark for my taste. I can never seem to get the fundamental tone I'm looking for out of dynamic mics, so I don't tend to use them in anything except bass drum. Also, speaking of bass drum, out in the front there is a Lewitt LCT 240 Pure. I like it so far. Using it outside of the bass drum, I think it's nice. I've got the bass drum tuned up a little on the high side, but it's also dampened as well. Fairly ringy. I like that. If I'm trying to get a more classic kind of, Zepp thing going on, then I've got things tuned up like this. That being said, I don't always use this same configuration in the recording studio. As you saw in the last video, I have the 16x22 when I did the Love Nut song. That just sounds more traditional. I had the same toms up because I'm lazy and I can just tune them lower. I had them tuned lower in the last video. They're up a little bit because I've been, messing around with stuff like Zepp stuff that I didn't learn right when I used to play it all the time. Like, in all the years that I played rock and roll, never played the intro right. I didn't realize that it was like, it's a boogie-woogie piano thing, and that the first note is not one. There's lots of guys on the internet who know how to play this stuff correctly because they had time to sit down and work it out and practice it. But, I always played it wrong, and I think I got it right now because it's... Maybe that's right. I don't know. And hopefully the tone is fairly convincing. Anyway, that's how I have drums set up here. Oh, I suppose we could talk about what I've got things going into. That would make some amount of sense. Most things are being handled by the Audient ASP880. I am doing snare drum, rack and floor tom, stereo room is going through here. I am doing the overheads through the Black Lion Audio Auteur, which I like a lot. That's a really great sounding stereo pre. Inside kick drum, I'm using a Cappy VP28. It's going into a DBX 530 and then into the Joe Meek MEC compressor. I like this little channel strip for bass drum because I can get away with doing a little bit of bass drum tone shaping going in. The mic I'm talking to you through is going through that Altron MP73A and EQ73A, inexpensive Chinese 1073 knockoff. It's super noisy. I like it on vocals. I like it on guitar direct sometime. I'm also speaking to you through the Giraffe SSL copy because I've got one funky channel on there, so I've just decided to use the channel that's working properly. And then everything else that is not being handled through the Audient is being handled through the Apogee Rosetta 800. And that's going into Reaper, and that's what I've been using now for close to 10 years, I would guess. I did a bunch of everything, if you've worked with me in the past, that's what I've used, Reaper. It's been extremely consistent, and, it's one I learned, so I'm happy to use that. Anyway, thanks for all your comments and suggestions. Thanks for watching the last video. If you have any other specific questions about how to get drum sounds or how you can hire me to get these drum sounds on your record, please feel free to get in contact with me. Leave a comment, ask me questions. I'll be glad to answer them. I'm here. Thank you.